Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single frickin' episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Jeff.
I'm Skylar. Just
I'm
kidding.
I'm the blank space on Jeff's wall.
You have been pranked. This is actually Avery. We don't know where Skylar is. Hopefully she is alive.
Yeah.
Uh, let's get at it, gamers.
So yeah, if you're hearing this, that means that we are going forward with this idea. We've just kind of been sat in a Discord call for 30 minutes with nothing else going on, so we just decided, fuck it, we'll do the episodes ourselves. Today we are talking about the two-parter Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel, Series 2, Episodes 5 and 6, respectively. Written by Tom McRae. This is sort of inspired by a Big Finish play called Spare Parts. It deviates a lot more than Dalek does, and it was not written by the person who wrote Spare Parts, but it is there's inspiration there, and Mark Platt, the writer of Spare Parts, is credited for some of the original concept. It does sort of similar things with the origin of the Cybermen, just obviously that's the main timeline Cybermen. Also of note, it is directed by Graham Harper, who actually worked on Classic. He was an assistant floor manager, a production assistant, and he directed a couple episodes of Classic, including the widely regarded as one of the best episodes called The Caves of Androzani. So yeah, he's like the one, like, maybe not the one, but like the first major like crew member to carry over from Classic, and that's just a cool note. So yeah, this episode kind of, I feel like it vacillates between like classic like weird B-movie like schlock with like Lumic and the parallel universe, and sort of the concept of a mad scientist or industrialist businessman creating the Cybermen, and then some of the most like gruesome, terrifying body horror with the Cybermen themselves.
Yeah, it's like I really get what you say with Lumic because he's just so weird. Like,
Yeah, it's like, how did anyone let this person, like, you can tell, like, clearly the president of this alternate universe, Great Britain, thinks that Lumic's gone way too far with this shit. Like, did no one rein him in before now?
like there's this whole thing about how, in the second episode we learn about the girl in the rebel group. Sort of, she used to work for Cyvax, and then she found a document she wasn't supposed to see. Like, how did, and he supposedly has like factories all over the world, like with all this industrial production set up for this. Like, how did he make this without anyone noticing?
Yeah. Like,
Like,
especially when it's very, like, all that they would need to do, and this would be, like, great political commentary, is to say that he actually had a government behind him, but part of the plot is that no government actually wants him to do this, so, like, how the fuck did he... What?
yeah, it's just confusing, and also he doesn't seem to have thought through his plan very well. Because
Yeah. Yeah, no,
he's
his
also
plan makes no fucking sense. His plan
like,
makes no sense.
I'm sick, so I'm going to do this thing to everyone else, but also I don't want it to actually happen to me until I'm completely dead.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know where he was going with this. That he just sort of like, an ellipses at the end of his thought, and I'm just like, okay, what?
Yeah. So I guess to actually still try and go along with the structure of the episode, the cold open is of Lumic, which other thing of note, I can't believe we have to bring up that the Cursed series by actual turf J.K. Rowling again, but both David Tennant and Lumic's actor are in the fourth Harry Potter film, playing the two Barty Crouches.
Oh, that's the Elder Barty Crouch. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, yeah. And this cold open is like, it's okay. It's a very like classic, like very sort of B movie sort of scene, but there's a couple things I take offense to. One, there's a line where the scientist dude in this is like, bear in mind the brain has been welded to the exoskeleton, and I'm like, you don't weld the brain to anything without thoroughly destroying the brain. There's a reason why we cover the fucking thing in bone. It's because it does not withstand much.
Yeah, that's hmm.
If you weld the brain, it'll actually fucking turn into pudding.
Like it's not metal. It's not going to melt and then solid onto the lining. I don't. Yeah, that's just like what you might
Yeah.
as well take a stake and like hammer it through through the thing to get it to stick. Yeah, that's
And
hmm.
of course, Lumic shows off his ridiculous hamminess very early on, where the scientist's like, well, we have to talk to the Geneva Convention. This is a new life form. And
And
Lumix
it's
is
like
like, and if I
no.
don't, and he's like, well, I'm sorry, it's my duty. I have to inform them. And Lumix's like, and how will you do that from beyond the grave?
Oh God.
Like, it's not even just like the plotting itself is like a B movie villain. It's Lumic literally talks like a B movie villain.
Yeah, like his acting too is very like oh, 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 oh.
He is fucking ridiculous.
And how will you do that from beyond the grave?
And so then after the credits, it cuts to the Doctor and Mickey in the TARDIS, and I just like to point out that all of this is entirely the Doctor's fault when you think about it.
Which part?
Well, because the entire reason this happens is because Mickey holds down the button for too long, which only happens because the Doctor doesn't bother to tell Mickey, hey, you can let go of the button now.
I mean, do we know it's because he held down the button for so long?
It happens right after he lets go of the button.
Huh.
It's the only thing that changed. I assume that was their sort of explanation, like just roll with it, like plot reason for why they end up in the alternate universe. Because yeah, this episode's set in a parallel universe.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't pick up on that. I just thought it sort of. I felt like that was just a comedic thing, and then that just sort of happened. But your explanation makes more sense, so I'll go with it.
yeah, it is interesting here how like obviously the Daleks still like when we when we interact with the Daleks, they're still like our main timeline Daleks, but in this case, the Cybermen are from an alternate timeline, and I think that is actually for the best, because obviously the original main series Cybermen, like from classic, weren't human. They were Mondasian. They were humanoids, but they weren't technically human. And I
Yeah.
think that kind of removes some of the horror from the whole concept. Now, admittedly, they do kind of bring that in, actually, ironically, when they bring back the original Mondasian Cybermen in 12's run. Like, that actually has some of the best Cyberman horror outside of this episode. Like I feel like part of like Classic did this, and I think New Who did this a lot too, especially when Moffat came around, which is and Chibnall does it hard too, of the Cybermen just kind of being robots, and they're
Yeah,
not. Like if they're just like haha metal man, it's not anywhere near as effective as oh god, it is a evolved being that was once human and wants nothing more than to make everything else like it, a cold metal brain in a suit that has no emotion. Like that is also another thing of like the in the I believe the 10th their original appearance, it's implied that they just sort of like had hacked parts of their body off and replaced it with cybernetics over time, whereas from the get-go, the only thing that is left is the brain, and the emotion inhibitor is there not because emotions are a weakness, but because it's literally the only way they can survive with the horror of what they are.
yeah. That's like that was a good thing. That was a good
Yeah.
thing for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe Spare Parts did this too. I haven't listened to Spare Parts, even though I've been like the only one here who's actually delved into Big Finish. I'll get on it at some point. Actually, it's probably like $3. I might as well like buy it and go listen to it after this episode. But so yeah, they go to a parallel London, um, where they're Zeppelins, I guess. I feel like, for what it's worth, the only reason this episode is in a parallel universe is so they can reintroduce the Cybermen as being human in origin. Which is, I feel a little bit disappointing given that this is like really the only exploration this like New Who has had with straight up parallel universes and not like pocket dimensions that you see in like The Doctor's Wife. Like it's kind of just there as a contrivance, whereas like I mean there's even a line in uh World Enough in Time, I believe, where like 12 says something about like parallel development to explain like why all these different like offsprings of Cybermen like all happened, even though their creation was all unrelated to each other. And I feel like that's just a much more seamless way than just chucking them into a parallel universe. Like the only reasons for parallel universe is so they can reintroduce the Cybermen and so they can bring Pete back, I guess, and set up the finale.
And Zeppelins.
Yeah, like like it feels like the parallel universe is only there is because it needs to be there for things in the plot, not because they want to explore the concept of parallel universes, which is disappointing.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
and
sort of it sort of gets me thinking. Like this whole thing sort of gets me thinking about Star Trek a bit, just because the
yeah, you have
Cybermen
like
obviously.
the mirror world, right?
Yeah, yeah, the because obviously the Cybermen bear some resemblance in their function to the Borg,
Yeah,
uh, and then you also have the mirror universe, which is it first comes up in the original series, but then it becomes sort of a recurring thing in Deep Space Nine. They visit it like several times and go back and
yeah,
forth, and like the first couple times it's like, oh, it's like some accident, but then by like the third or fourth time they just like figured out how to do it and just hopping back and forth whenever they want to. The mirror universe people will pop in, kidnap someone, bring them to their universe, and be like, come on, come fight the war with us. And that happens like four times. Anyways, uh, it just sort of got me thinking about that because I'm like that there's this whole thing with parallel universes in series where like they sort of just go with having just one to explore, even though it's implied that there's a lot more. Just because obviously Doctor Who we've talked about before, there can't be too much world building because it's all of time and space. And then
yeah,
imagine if you had a whole nother time and space and also all the other times and spaces. So like
yeah. That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah, that's why I feel like. I guess it's kind of good that they made it like a one-off thing that they could actually go and explore it, even though they sort of bust a hole back in at convenience sake later on.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there was like a one-off episode, like there was a like a standalone story in classic that did involve a parallel universe, but that was back in the third Doctor's tenure, and shit was weird back then. Also, it's like 9 episodes long, and I don't have time for that shit.
Classic really do be like that, and like at least four of those are just going to be set up.
Um, but yeah, so I do like the Doctor sort of pontificating of like we're in some sort of no place, the silent realm, the lost dimension, and Mickey opens the door and is like, otherwise known as London. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
Mickey
also
is so
like
good at these too.
yeah, this episode, if there is anything truly great about this episode other than the Cybermen themselves, it's Mickey.
The Doctor is
Especially
such a dick to Mickey in this two-parter. Like, oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah, it start and also like Mickey's real Chad hours starts right here where he's the oh hey, our co-host finally made it to the recording.
Just, yeah.
Did you forget we were recording today?
That and the internet finally decided to work.
Oh,
Like literally, like my phone and everything went out. That's why I
wow.
wasn't.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
we started the episode without you. We're not too far in though. We're still like 5 minutes into the first episode. We've just been kind of like pontificating for 20 minutes.
Sounds
Anyways,
familiar.
anyways,
Continue.
anyways, so I do like here how like this episode being hashtag all about Mickey starts here where he's the one who gets to do like the expository science talk, and he gets to flex his like sci-fi nerd muscles, which is fucking great.
Yeah. Fun.
And then of course you get to the other big reason why this is in a parallel universe is because Pete's alive in this universe. And he's actually like successful with all his schemes, and Rose is like, "Oh my god, I have to go see him." And didn't we deal with this like this time last season? Doesn't it feel like we're just kind of doing this again?
Yeah,
Don't touch the baby.
Rose
God,
and
what a
her daddy.
horrible northern accent. God.
Hey.
I sincerely apologize, Emma, and anyone else listening from the UK.
Yeah, it was bad. I admit it.
Jesus.
Here at the
Um,
bar, on the Box the TARDIS podcast, we value our viewers from diverse backgrounds, including American and British, quote unquote, wherever that may be.
See, this is probably why the whole like Petra thinks I'm British thing comes from, because I at least have like knowledge of like accents and how stuff's supposed to sound.
Northern's like the only accent I can't do.
I'm
Anyways.
not entirely convinced the UK is a real country, and Doctor Who does not help that.
I am clipping that out of context. I'm not entirely sure the UK is a real country. Avery, April 24th, 2020, 8:45 p.m. Eastern.
You gotta add on the fucking part about that it's because of Doctor Who.
Anyways. But yeah,
I do like the actor for Pete though.
Yeah, no, well, yes, he's just as good as he was last season. It just kind of feels like this is just setting up for the finale and stuff. Whatever. I have issues with Rose's stuff in general, but we'll get there way later on in the season. I do like that the parallel universe Jackie, which I guess this is supposed to be like Jackie if she got rich, like obviously like Pete still has like dignity and empathy, but Jackie has just turned into a total Karen.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like lines like where she's like having a fuss about this banner, and Pete's like, well, what's the matter? And she's like, it says 40, and he's like, you are 40. She's like, yes, but I don't want them to know that. My biography says I was born on the same day as Cuba Gooding Jr., and that means I'm 39. Also, Rose in this timeline is a fucking terrier.
That I love that.
No, that pays off way better later on in the episode, but it pays off pretty magnificently. So yeah. Also, how her Bluetooth stuff is like all like blinged out.
Only Jackie.
Yes. But yes, and then we cut back to, of course, John fucking Lumic, the weirdest part of this entire episode. Again, like, him interacting with Pete is so weird because Pete is a normal person and Lumic is, like, as far from a normal person as you can get.
I'd call him the most interesting, boring human billionaire we've had on this show.
No, that's Van Staten.
Or rather, the least...
Van Staten is the most boring
and then
one.
I realized that the human billionaire in the Series 12 opener is way more boring than Lumic.
Lenny Henry's character? Yes, I just realized you guys don't know who Lenny Henry is because you're fucking Americans.
As opposed to you.
Listen, if at least one of our viewers thinks I'm British...
Oi lads, I'm British, yeah.
Yes, it's me, British Geoff. Here we are, lads. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, we mentioned this before, but as said, this alternate timeline, there is a president of Great Britain, and not like a prime minister. And I'm trying to figure out, like, my brain's like, well, does that mean that Great Britain isn't like parliamentary anymore? Because that's like kind of weird.
Are you just slipping into an accent now? Is your American facade slipping?
I am intentionally slipping inside and out of an accent, and I will probably regret this when I have to sit through like a fucking hour of this shit. But you know,
parallel British Geoff is slipping through into this reality.
Parallel British Geoff actually has facial hair.
Ooh. Got him.
I mean, really, what's the point of having a parallel universe version of yourself if they don't have facial hair? You know, like, what was it, like fucking Spock's beard? He has a beard, right, Avery?
Yes.
At some point, I think. I don't know. I haven't watched the.
You're the Trekkie here.
Yeah, but I've only watched Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
That's fair. That's fair. Never mind. But yeah, also Lumic shows that he has the ability to just override everyone's fucking AirPods and like freeze their motor functions, like, you know, Westworld freeze all motor functions. Fucking like Avery pointed this out earlier of like, how did he manage to get these factories built and do this stuff when he doesn't have governmental approval? How the fuck did he manage to do this without governmental approval or anybody noticing?
No, I think the government is fine with that. It's just the Cybermen that they didn't like. But as for the headpieces, I think that was just adopted normally. My criticism of them was, how does this work with people driving? Like, it seems like people keep it on all the time.
Shit,
like,
yeah, that's true.
And it turns on, do you just, like, keep going? Doesn't that cause problems? I'm so confused. Because it doesn't seem like people take them out. Do you turn them
Yeah.
off? Like, what? Ugh.
Yeah, it's
See,
fair.
there's a lot of small things like that in these episodes that on their own I wouldn't care too much, but there's just sort of like a pile of them that keeps going.
Yeah, honestly, at times it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, and
It goes.
Lumic's plan is absolutely horrible. It's fucking
Oh yeah,
garbage.
Yeah, we
it's
already talked about that. It's just like,
goes
what?
to the fucking pacing of the first episode in particular, that like it introduces so many moving parts and you're still with it for the most part all the way until the end. It's only until the second episode where you think about this and it's just like, yeah, this would never fucking work.
Yeah.
It's just
So yeah, but we introduced to another character, Mr. Crane, who I think is like way more of an effective villain in this case, because like he's like very sort of just like compliantly evil. Like it's like the most evil is like, you know, the people who got up at the fucking Nuremberg trials and were like, "Oh, I'm just following orders." Like he knows full well what he's doing and he's like, "Yeah, okay, sure. Progress, you know?" Like it's absolutely like he's like probably like, even though he has like a weird like face turn like halfway through the next episode, like he's like way more of a like seriously like disgusting villain than Lumic is, because like in that case he still acts like totally out of place with the situation, but because he's not like hamming it up, it plays more as like shady corporate types like completely indifferent to human suffering, as opposed to like B-movie villain.
Yeah, just okay. One, his face turn in the second episode is weird and comes out of nowhere, uh, and makes no sense. And
Like,
also,
okay,
just,
wait for you to grow a fucking spine now when it's too late,
and like you
asshole.
showed no indication of doing that before. It was just random. And also, why were you going along with it in the first place if you had this objection? Uh,
It's like he
and
didn't think that it's
but
just like, oh yeah, these earpieces are gonna do this to me too. Guess I should do something about that.
yeah, and then in the first episode, I really liked the scene where, you know, they're sort of starting up the machines, and he puts on the music to drown out the noise. That
Yeah,
was a
to
very
drown out the screaming. Yeah, that's one of the most like actually like still terrifying effective pieces of horror in like the entirety of New Who. Like it's still fucking chilling.
yeah. What was the song again? It was something really
It's
cheery.
the lion sleeps tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, a listener of the show who's a friend of mine, Miles, watched the episode, and he texted me, and he was like, "I can't believe they made that song scary," and I'm like, "Yeah, it like literally all you have to do is juxtapose something safe and comforting against horrifying fucking shit to make it like some of the most traumatic shit ever." That shit fucked me up when I was 6, man. Fucking terrifying. Um. Anyways, so we're introduced to, well, so mainly the we get our sort of time frame of like the TARDIS will be powered up in 24 hours, but until then they're stranded there, so they have to just sit and wait. And Rose is like determined to go and see her parents so we can do this shit all over again, whereas Mickey gets the actually good subplot involving family, which is like, for a character that you've never seen, and for Mickey who hasn't been on screen that much and you've never really talked about his backstory or anything, the scene where he goes and sees his grandmother and he talks to her is honestly one of the like best like bits of pathos in this entire season outside of like school reunion and Girl in the Fireplace. Like it's really, really good.
Yeah, his whole arc over these episodes is solid, like so solid. Just like in the first place, when they split up, and he was like, "Just go with her. I know you're gonna do it," and the doctor does, and it's like, "Damn, you really did him like that." And the doctor literally has no idea what goes on in his life at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The doctor like kind of sucked in this two-parter because just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's a fucking dick to me.
It's this two-parter is really just like the Mickey Smith show.
For real, yeah.
Okay, side note here, guys. Question. I feel like I'm slipping too much into Australian, probably because I've been listening to like a shit ton of King Gizzard. Are you guys getting that feel too?
Yeah, I heard some
Yeah.
awesome in there.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop. Complete wrong country.
It's okay.
Anyways.
Still better than my northern accent earlier, and I used northern accent very loosely.
Yeah, no, it really was. So yeah, but we're introduced to the preachers who are these like anarchist freedom fighters in a blue van who just kind of whisk Mickey off the street. Oh yeah, and also there's the joke that in this universe Mickey is actually named Ricky, which I find it funny that in this episode that's otherwise like the Mickey show, they also pay off like one of the biggest like running gags when they were still like constantly making fun of him.
Yeah.
And Ricky's like the coolest
Yeah.
Mickey.
And he's gay. Canonically.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. I forgot that was like a deleted scene that they made it explicit.
Oh,
Like,
it is? It's a thing?
Yeah, no man. Him and Jake were fucking, yo.
Nice.
yeah, it's all like, yeah, I may have his face, but I'm not replacing him. And he's just like, yeah, wouldn't make a good boyfriend. And then it's like
Yeah.
cut to black, and I'm just like,
I mean,
We
to
were
be
robbed.
fair, while we were robbed in this case, RTD just did make Tegan / Nissa canon, so like it balances out.
True.
Anyways, so yeah, they take Mickey off the streets because they think that he's Ricky. Meanwhile, Lumic meets with the president of Britain, who's like, "Are you fucking insane? No."
For once, the leader of Britain doing something intelligent. Totally unrealistic. I can see why this is a parallel universe.
I love how he's drafted up an ethical paper. How he's just like, no, I have the math. It's okay.
Yeah, here's a paper in ethics to justify this.
Yeah. I also like how it seems that, like, Pete Tyler seems to be, like, a sleazy businessman, because there's the line of, like, hey, you're selling these, basically sodas as health drinks. And the characterization we get for him, especially when you find out he's Gemini in, like, the next episode, is that this is a guy who, like, started off very sleazy, found someone who was so much worse, and who was just like, okay, I need to do something about that, because holy crap.
Yeah. And really, that's kind of been Pete's defining character trait, like, even in Father's Day, is that he's actually, like, genuinely a super nice person.
Yeah. And the actor also does a good job of being, like, slightly different. Like, you can tell he's older, but it's still the same person, which is, as an actor, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah. Older
Mickey also
and
also
richer.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I still love how like Pete Tyler's like, well, you know, this isn't the only country in the world. There's always New Germany, and Lumic's like, this is the homeland, my birthplace. You may leave. I just you like Lumic is such a dumb fucking character.
This is the birthplace, my homeland. And also, I would like to just point out New Germany, and I'm
Yes.
just what's up there?
What's yeah?
Don't they also mention New South America?
Oh God.
I think that's also
That
another
carries the
thing that-
same energy as that one fucking like cringy YouTuber song where that one dude goes, "England is my city."
You don't remember Jake Paul?
I have tried to block him from my memory as much as possible, and I never interacted with his content to begin with.
Bless.
I used to know, like the whole first half of that song.
I don't think I've ever actually listened to it, which I think is probably like why I'm still a sort of functioning human being.
I don't even remember what the song was called anymore. I just remember 5 mil in 6 months, never done before, and England is my city.
Anyways, yeah, then we get the scene where Crane straight up steals like 20 homeless dudes from off the streets and forcibly cyber converts them, which honestly is like the most real part of this episode.
Exploitation of the poor. Say it ain't so.
And then where he puts on music to cover up their screaming. But yeah, then it's revealed that then they figure out that Mickey's not actually Ricky, and they strip him down to his like boxers and tie him to a chair, which I'm pretty sure is like entirely fan service.
Ooh.
Nah, you gotta check for guns and listening devices. That totally means having a pseudo Swallow Ren scene.
It's Ben Swallow, you fake fan.
Shh. It's fine.
God, you're the Star Wars nerd here. What the fuck? Anyways.
Yeah. Moving on.
Rose and the Doctor sneak into the Tyler's house by disguising as waitstaff for the party, which like did they just like knock out and replace people, or like did nobody notice, hey, there's like 2 more people on waitstaff than there was before? Or is it just because they're rich, so like they don't care?
They don't care.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. But yes, here's where the joke plays out, where Jackie makes a speech, and then she calls out to Rose, and they find out that Rose is a terrier, and like 10 just fucking loses it.
Yeah,
like
good.
that's great. And then the Cybermen roll out. Crane's like, all right, bro, I'ma go. We about to head out and try to convert the president of Great Britain. Meanwhile, the preachers investigate Mickey, and like they're like, well, like, did Lumic make him? Because he's literally like a perfect copy. But they get interrupted by the fact that the Cybermen are moving, so they roll out to the Tyler's house. Meanwhile, the Doctor goes and does some digging and realizes what's happening and has his like, oh shit moment. Also, Rose tries to have an interaction with Jackie, but she goes full Karen on her.
I have a strong suspicion the writer were like, hey, everybody who's annoyed with this character, this is how worse she could be.
I mean,
Prime Jackie
the funny
is
thing
more
is,
than
the funny
fine.
thing is, the funny thing is that they've already like more than like developed Jackie in the main timeline. So it's just like, yeah, let's just remind everyone how shitty of a person she kind of is.
Yeah.
Also, so yeah, he sends Cybermen in, and they all come stomping in with their stompy, loud staple gun feet, which is a new thing. They don't sound like that in Classic. They don't really make any additional sounds, and I think, as I was mentioning to Avery, I think a lot of the redesign here helps them not be like super cringy, because I have included in, like, you can see in our in the group chat, I posted a picture of the Cybermen's last Classic appearance, and not very imposing.
Yeah.
But yes, as they're crashing in through the windows, Lumic calls the president and is like, "Mr. President, I suppose a remark about crashing the party would be appropriate at this point. Ah!" And it's just like,
He
fuck
practiced
off.
that line in the mirror. I guarantee it.
Just like, what? Anyway, nobody listens to 10, and the president gets himself killed, at which point all hell breaks loose. And the cliffhanger, they end up out on the lawn, and the cliffhanger for this episode ends up being that they surrender, but the Cybermen aren't letting up because I guess their orders were to kill everyone at the party. So, the cliffhanger is resolved with a major ass pull. He just points the power cell at the Cybermen and is like, "Burr, burr, motherfuckers." And it's just like, okay.
Also,
Like,
an
to be
instance
fair-
where the doctor is just like fine murking some folks.
Yeah, and like, he's like, it doesn't make sense that he's like getting so worked up if he had that like planned out the entire time.
Yeah. Honestly, I had forgotten how we got out of the cliffhanger.
Yeah,
because,
yeah, no, I forgot too. I thought like the preachers came in, but no, they come in at the end of the episode. Like, what?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Given how fast the doctor's mind is shown to work in like Heaven Sent, I'm willing to forgive that. But yeah, like narratively, it is an ass pull.
yeah. So yeah, Pete reveals that he was the preacher's informant all along. Ricky reveals that he's London's most wanted for parking tickets.
Oh, that's a great moment.
Which, like, yeah, I feel like our universe Mickey would say a line like that. Or do something like that. Yeah, Rose in this episode is just kind of there.
Honestly, though.
Like, Mickey's basically, like, the actual companion for this episode.
Yeah.
Like, admittedly, it's gonna be better in not the next episode, but the episodes after that when we cover Impossible Planet and Satan Pit, because that actually does have good stuff with their character. But after that, I think it's safe to say that we have basically reached it for good Rose episodes.
Yeah. Rose's job is to interact with Pete, which is good. It isn't terrible, but
it's just
it was done
fucking
better
rehash
in
of Father's Day. It's the same shit again.
But worse.
Yeah, and it ignores any and all development that she may have had from Father's Day. Like, what? Anyways. Also, this fucking thing where Lumic is interacting with his Cybermen and he's like, my everlasting children, tell me, how does it feel? And the Cybermen are like, we feel nothing. And he's like, but in your mind, what do you think? And just, I know that this is supposed to be a serious scene, but it feels like a Monty Python sketch.
Oh, you're so right, and I'm so mad at you for saying that, because you just
like, I can see, like, Michael Palin hamming it up, and then they're like, we feel nothing. He's like, well, but what do you think? Like, it's a fucking...
I want that so badly right now.
Also, I love how Lumic is just like, I've declared independence and I've taken over London. Like, what? How does I don't want to die turn into I'm going to forcibly turn everyone except me into one of these things and take over London and then the world?
Hey man, he just wanted to seize the means of production, and while he was at it, seize everything fucking else.
That probably just really horribly peaked. Yep. Yeah, oh, yeah, that's a spicy waveform.
It's my job.
I'm gonna have to severely compress that, or limit that one. Also, the line here was really unfortunate where they explain like why they can't just go around taking the earpods out of people is Ten's like don't take them out, it'll cause a brainstorm, and I'm just thinking, oh, it'll cause them to have a sudden burst of creativity, cool, let's take them out.
Yeah, I mean, I get why. It's a pretty reasonable explanation, you know. They're linked to your mind and information is being actively beamed straight into it. So maybe taking them out while that's happening is bad. But the fact that he used the word brainstorm as if there's going to just be like too much brain activity. Ah!
Yeah.
And the fact that everybody else just doesn't even question that. They're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I've heard of that.
Yeah. Plus, like, we know from the last episode that, like, Ten will just, like, make shit up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the best. Like I said earlier, there's just like a lot of these moments where things just don't quite make sense and you're just supposed to roll with it, except unlike past episodes, it doesn't work as well.
Yeah. The plot and pacing doesn't really pick up until they actually get to the factory and they have to figure out what to do. It's just kind of meandering, especially in the first part.
Yeah, they just kind of decide that, like... Also, like, everyone just kind of ignores any time Ten says, yeah, we like, mentions, like, the Prime Universe. Like, no one, like Pete kind of goes, I'm sorry, what? But no one, like, really...
In fairness, there are more pressing issues.
But still...
In fairness, that's not unique to this episode. Like, basically every episode is... They just sort of accept that these people somehow got into a place they shouldn't have been able to.
Yeah,
I do like
I mean, part of the point of, like, one of my favorite episodes, Midnight, is, like, sometimes that just makes things worse, but yes.
Yeah.
I do like how, I mean, kind of going to your point, Jeff, at the very end when everything is passed and, like, Pete Tyler actually digests, like, who Rose is and where they're from, he just can't deal. He just books it. I'm just that's a realistic reaction.
That's good. That is a good scene. Anyways, so Mickey and Ricky run off down an alleyway, but unfortunately, as Ricky's trying to climb a fence, a Cyberman electrocutes him, and Mickey's like, no! And then they just kind of stare at each other, and I believe I sent a message to the group chat when I was watching this episode that was just, ah yes, the Cybermen, feared by countless civilizations, stopped by a fucking chain link fence. Like, they don't even need to climb it. They're Cybermen. They could just, like, kick it down. It's not anchored to anything that strong. It's a fucking...
Yeah, if this was Nightmare and Silver Cybermen or Series 12 Cybermen,
they just
Mickey and everybody else would be screwed.
Yeah. What?
I don't
anyway,
like that...
Crane finally has his random heel face turn where he just, like, gleefully goes behind Lumic's wheelchair and just, like, rips all this shit out, causing it to, like, explode. It's really weird.
I also like how he's like, I know exactly what to do, as if there's, like, a specific order to what he's doing, and it's not just doing, like, the most obvious thing to take him out.
Yeah.
And I also like how the Cybermen's answer to it is to just, like, immediately upgrade him instead of, like, just fixing the very minimal things that happen.
Well, yeah, because that's actually how the Cybermen work.
That's true.
Like, I'm surprised they didn't already try to do that.
Yeah, but also, like, God.
But yes, once again, I'm going to bring up how dumb Lumic's plan is like, why? Because this goes in the face of, like, his whole motivation and the fact that he's this, like, crazy, rich fucking fuckface billionaire. They don't put others or the human race before themselves. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't already converted, and then just the actual bad guy of the episode was Crane. That's literally all they had to do for this episode to just work so much better. But the fact that Lumic is not converted just feels so fucking weird. It's like, why would you not have done this, like 45 minutes ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways. So... they try and get in to Battersea Power Station. The Doctor and Mrs. Moore split off to try and get in through the tunnels. Rose and Pete try to find Jackie by pretending to be one of the AirPod... Oh my god. Guys.
AirPods!
No, guys. No, shut up. Jackie, oh no, oh shit, oh fuck, the cyber conversion chamber is right ahead. Oh no, she has AirPods in, she can't hear us. Oh shit, oh fuck.
Poetry.
But yeah, no, they're literally just fucking AirPods. They're 2006 AirPods.
I hate you. Oh my god. You've just ruined this episode for, like, everyone who watches it now, because all we're going to be able to think about is Lumic is a Monty Python character, and they've got AirPods in.
Honestly, I feel like cyber converting the entire human race, like brainwashing the entire human race into being cyber converted, is still less shitty than changing MacBook chargers every fucking year.
It's definitely in the running.
Anyways, and Mickey and Jake go out to try and find the transmitter for the signal. The Doctor and Mrs. Moore is a really nice scene. I like it a lot. I wish it didn't end as... Like, her death just feels, like, gratuitous. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, I guess, like, nobody's died in the last 15 minutes, so okay. Especially because, like, the Cybermen just kind of magically appear without doing the big stomp thing that they were doing, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
Do they have, like, a stealth mode or something?
Ricky's at least made sense. His death, because, like, I can understand from a technical standpoint, like, it's probably expensive to keep doing that, and number two, you want Mickey to take that role narratively, but, yeah, Mrs. Moore's was definitely a bit of a cheat. I get you don't want, like, actors and, like, characters cluttering up the scene if they don't need, quote-unquote, to be there, but, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I call
weird.
foul.
Can I... You know what's been on my mind this whole episode? Just about the Cybermen in general. How have they never learned how to run?
You cut out there, what?
How have they never learned how to run?
We actually do see them run, but
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, the real answer is because they're so confident in their power and their ability that they see no need to run because they are already peak humanity. Why would they chase after them when they know that they are more powerful than us puny, fleshy humans would ever be?
Yeah. Basically, think the Borg and how they're slow AF doing anything.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do actually see them run, though, in Nightmare Silver, I think.
Yeah.
Which is, episode, but, like... Which and also a different type of Cyberman.
Fucking Neil Gaiman wrote that. And he, not only is he a good writer, he wrote one of the best episodes. Anyways. But yeah. Meanwhile, Pete and Rose fucking lose their shit because they find out that Karen Jackie got cyberified, as we alluded to in my AirPods joke. Meanwhile, Jake and Mickey go up to the roof and find one of the Zeppelins. Meanwhile, Mrs. Moore talks about her backstory, which is, I think, really good. It talks about, like, she talks about, like, how much of a normal life she had until she saw one thing that basically fucked her life up forever. Damn, corporations really do be like that sometimes. Also, the other reason why Mrs. Moore death just feels so, like, shitty is because she was, like, kicking ass literally, like, 2 minutes ago when she, like, takes one out with a EMP.
Not an EMP, it's a electromagnet.
That's an EMP. An EMP stands for electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah, but that's a pulse of electromagnetism. That's just an electromagnet.
No, but it's an EMP grenade. There's still a pulse. There isn't an explosion.
Alright, you know what?
Anyways, so yeah, I feel like
it's also weird how these Cybermen will kill people. Because, I mean, other Cybermen do that too, of course, but there's always the primary goal of, like, capture to convert.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just a problem in this story, and I guess you could chalk it up to Lumic being
more
stupid
of a problem.
evil.
It's more of a problem later when they start to skew more towards, like, when they start to skew more towards just killing people instead of converting them, which is something that happens a lot in Moffat.
Yeah.
But
it just seems like one of those things you could easily rewrite in that, like, oh, they can't convert the Doctor or Rose or Mickey because they have, like, different energy, and they literally wouldn't be able to power through, like, a...
protagonist power.
Yeah, basically. But no, Lumic is just stupid evil, so he kills people who don't want to, like, willingly join his cyber children immortal cult.
Yeah. And they do have this really great scene with a Cyberman, which is really, like, I don't think they ever really did anything like this in Classic. Like that kind of simple sort of scene with someone who's realized what they are and is just so confused. Yeah, it's so like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a very moving scene. And then Mrs. Moore dies for some fucking reason. Then let's see. Oh yeah. They wheel out the Doctor, Pete and Rose all get taken to Lumic, who is unveiled as the cyber controller. And surprisingly, putting the voice filter on him actually makes him less hammy.
I do like the fact that even in, like, cyber controlled form, we still first see him in a huge ass wheelchair.
Yes. It's like you don't need that anymore.
Yeah, we see that he doesn't, but it's just like, no, this is my throne now. And I'm just like, okay, man. Okay.
Okay, boomer. So yeah, Mickey baits a Cyberman suit into breaking the transmitter, causing everyone to get the fuck out of Dodge. Then he has a speech, which this is great because I feel like this is very much like a classic speech. Like, this is something that 4 or 6 or 7 would say, just sort of filtered through the manic nature of 10. Like, I feel like I see a lot of complaints from, like, classic fans, or, like, you know, people who didn't grow up on New who tend to rank 10 fairly low because they're like, you know, he's too manic. And I think, like, we're not enough like the Doctor, and I think he just expresses that in somewhat of an unconventional way. So yeah. Also the line, "Oh, Lumic, you're a clever man. I'd call you a genius, except I'm in the room."
Yeah.
But he basically has the point of, like, well, once you've, like, defeated death, what even is the fucking point anymore?
Yeah. It reminds me of how he interacts with Lazarus a series later. It's kind of a similar type of thing.
Yeah. And he baits Lumic into yeeting. Well, actually, no, he doesn't bait Lumic. He reveals the code to shut off the Cybermen's emotional inhibitors, which I guess causes them to all flip the fuck out and have their head explode because, okay, I guess. This is an incredibly anticlimactic ending, not gonna lie. It's just like,
yeah.
Okay.
Also, it kind of just skates over a huge part of the Doctor's morals. We haven't quite gotten to the 10, like, absolutely won't use a gun, no lethal force. But it just goes into that sort of thing where the Doctor will sometimes decide, yeah, this is okay because I'm letting them die, I'm not killing them. Which I suppose for an existence as hell as being a Cyberman, I would kind of side with him in this case, but it's just something that isn't even touched on. It's just like, well, yeah, naturally,
Yeah.
it's okay to do this.
Yeah, I agree. Then they escape, and Mickey and Jake land the Zeppelin back down so they can get 10, Rose, and Pete. And Mickey has the line, Mickey, where'd you learn to fly that thing? And he says PlayStation, and I'm just like, did Mickey pull a I played Mario Kart once? Because it feels like that's what he did.
Well, he said specifically the PS2, so...
It's like I don't believe that was a platform known for its flight sims. Like, what?
Exactly, that's why he's so mad at it.
Like, you can tell a line like that was written by some fucking dude who doesn't actually understand video games. Because, like,
Mickey's a real gamer. He's transcended the game.
I thought you were going to say Mickey's a real gamer. He's trans.
Yeah, no, that's where my brain went to.
And I'm like, okay, man, sure. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, let's roll with that.
Every word starting with that prefix is clear now.
I have nothing to do. It's quarantine. I can write all the fanfic I want. Screw you.
Oh my god. Anyways, I love how this resolving is like the Lumic cyber controllers climbing up after them, and Pete like severs the rope ladder with the Sonic, and he just falls away going no in one last piece of dumb B movie bullshittery, not to be confused with the actual B movie.
Don't forget that he falls right into the explosion.
Yeah, it's so like a shitty CG explosion. It's so fucking. Anyways, yeah, it's something. So I guess the denouement, they all head back to where the TARDIS is. Rose tries to explain that they're from an alternate universe, and Pete's like, nah fam, I ain't dealing with this shit, which honestly is a fucking mood. And he just kind of leaves, and Mickey is sort of like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay here, which fits really well because like Rose has been a shitty partner for the past year and a half. B, his grandmother, aka like his only surviving family, is alive in this timeline, and he's found a newfound purpose, so he leaves, which is great. We stan. Also, I got so salty when Rose was fucking like, what about me? What if I need you? And I'm just like, bitch.
It's like, when have you needed him? Literally when?
You literally have not. You didn't even really need him before you met the Doctor, you fucking...
Like, okay, I got one answer. When she needed his help to open the TARDIS to get back to 9.
Yeah, when
that's
she
the
needed
only
a tow
time.
truck. Yeah, that's the only... Like, fucking...
Okay, no, but better than when has she needed him, when has he needed her and she's not been there?
Yeah.
Like good for Mickey. Like,
yeah,
it
like,
seemed
honestly,
that they were
yeah.
moving on amicably, but like honestly, he needed this break.
Yeah, he really needed, sometimes you just gotta cut toxic people in your life off.
Sometimes you just need to cut out the toxic parallel universe that you were born in and move into another one. It takes all forms.
God, I fucking wish I could do that. That's a mood.
Okay, honestly though, that alternate reality do be looking tasty right now.
True.
I'm pretty sure, like, I think they say that it's, like, been a lot worse, like, when it shows back up later, but
Yeah,
Um,
that's it's been a lot worse compared to the world in like 2008.
yeah.
Uh, so who knows? I feel like we might have a better time there.
I'll take my chances.
I do like that right after
um,
that, like when Rose is saying like we'll visit you, and then the doctor says like no, we got here by accident. Shouldn't even have
yeah.
happened. When we leave, there's going to be a crack in time that I'll have to close. And I obviously know this was not planned this far in advance, but I'm headcanoning that the way they got here in the first place is that the doctor accidentally like ran into one of the Gallifrey time cracks
No,
and like
no, we already
fell through.
explained this. It was because Mickey held the button down for too long.
Nah, nah,
That is literally what it
nah.
is.
I reject your probable answer and substitute my own.
The doctor literally says it was a crack in time.
Fucking
Exactly.
whatever. Uh, also, okay, but you know what my headcanon is that Ten probably knows, yeah, there probably is a way to visit. It's just Ten's kind of like, yeah, this bitch is kind of flaky, and he's like, listen, he's having like a bro moment with Mickey. He's like, yeah, I'll let you like get the fuck out.
Okay, Skylar has given me an idea for my own headcanon. So I believe that Mickey holding down the button created a crack in time, right? That they accidentally rammed into then. And then that and then the doctor fails to seal it properly afterwards, and that's where the time cracks come from.
That's not where the time cracks come from. Like, it is literally canon said that that is not where it comes from.
Yeah, that's not what
Okay.
I'm saying. I'm just saying it's one of
No, no,
them.
no, I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying this is what I believe happened.
Ugh.
I've created a
Anyways.
schism.
Yeah, can
The
you
untempered schism. Anyways.
prove that's not what happened?
Anyways. Also, I can't fucking believe how Jackie's like, where's Mickey? And the doctor's like, he's gone home. And I'm like, that doesn't actually explain where he is. In fact, that's incredibly confusing.
I do like that end scene though. I always forget
yeah.
that that's how the episode.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it doesn't technically end like that, but that like that happens.
No, the actual end scene is fucking is Mickey and his boyfriend going off to fight Cybermen in a van. What a life.
I like how he's just like, oh yeah, I want to go to Paris. There's probably Cybermen there, right? Yeah, let's go.
Where's that spinoff RTD? Anyways, y'all have anything else?
Nah.
Not
All
before
right.
ratings, no.
All right. Well, I guess moving on to ratings. I think this episode handles the Cybermen, at least sort of the horror of like the first half handles the horror of the Cybermen very well in a way that we don't really, I think, see again until the series 10 finale, aka the one time Moffat did Cybermen and it was good. Yeah, I feel like when this episode actually goes into straight horror, it's really good. And there's some good character scenes, and obviously, like, Mickey gets to go full Chad here, but at the same time, Lumic just sucks, and so much of his overarching plan, which drives the plot, makes no fucking sense, and I feel like overall I'd give the story like a 6.5 or a 7. I'd give the first episode like a 7.5, but Age of Steel would probably be closer to like a 6.
Okay. Guess I'll go. Yeah, the first part of this two-parter is impeccably well paced, despite Lumic being stupid evil. There's just a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, I feel like Lumic should have just been parallel universe bad guy, not Cybermen bad guy.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
regardless
he
of
should have
everything,
just been already converted.
yeah. Out of the human billionaire evil people, he's probably on the higher end of quality, although that's not saying much. Anyways, second part is less well paced, but there's still some good stuff. The things that shine through here, in my opinion, are Mickey and what is done with the Cybermen, and also I'd say Pete Tyler, just because I like that actor and he does good stuff with that. So yeah, solid thing, solid concept. It's followed through well enough most of the time. So I would go. I think I'm giving this a 7. I think I'm giving this a 7.
Just the story overall.
Yeah, just the story overall. If it was just the if both were of the quality of the first part, I'd probably give it an 8.5 or an 8. But yeah, 7 for the whole story.
Okay.
Honestly, my ratings are exactly the same as Jeff, and you said that, and I was like, "Damn, okay, you got."
We actually agree on something for once.
Yeah, just the first one, I was like, "Yeah, this is a pretty good episode. I enjoyed this episode. 7.5." Next episode, I was like, "This is kind of messy. I don't like this one as much." 6. So yeah, it's like a 7 overall.
Well, next week. Well, gamers, it's that time of the season again. We have to talk about the obligatory fucking Mark Gatiss episode. I feel okay. So next week we're okay. I guess to not to bury the lead. Next week we're covering the Idiot's Lantern, this season's Mark Gatiss extravaganza. Where they go back, where they go back to 1950s London during the coronation of Queen Elizabeth and deal with a TV monster. One thing I'll say right away, looking at the preview and any footage I see of that, there is way too many fucking Dutch angles in that episode. Like, I swear, like, literally, like, 95% of the shots in the preview are at a Dutch angle, and it's bad. Why? So yeah, I am not looking forward to that because I remember Mark Gatiss's episodes being, like, generally just kind of and it's you know, it's Mark Gatiss, so like whatever.
I don't even remember that that's a Gatiss episode, so that really speaks to the quality.
Yeah.
Gatiss.
Anyways, until then, we'll see you all next week. You can follow me at WheatleyDL on Twitter. I say this every week, but I just kind of post like occasional things and shit posts based on whatever games I'm currently playing.
Yep. My name is Skylar, otherwise known as Miss not appearing in the first third of this episode. And you can find me on Twitter at skyhigh9_5.
It's your homie Avery, the Big Gavery, at BigFatPenis69 on Twitter.com.
Still not a joke.
Coming at you with the spicy takes, the spicy memes, the spicy jokes. We out here. Yeah.
And we'll see you all next week.